Welcome to the regular meeting. Good evening, all. Welcome to the village board meeting for the village of Pleasantville. Today is Monday, June 14. We are convening as we have been for a while on Zoom. You can pick up the Zoom link for this meeting and that of our other boards and commissions at our website, pleasantville-ny.gov. And within a short time, you can pick up the Zoom recording of our regular meeting and also the work session that preceded it at pctv76.org. We began the discussion about the question of when we will be back in person. Clearly, we're headed in that way, in that direction. We've got a few procedural problems to address, including some temporary relocations that have gone on in Village Hall that have to get sorted out. But it is certainly our expectation that we're going to be back in person before too long with our regular meetings, but we are also likely to maintain in parallel a Zoom or a Zoom-like option, because certainly for lots of folks, it has created the opportunity to participate, to attend, to listen, to comment from the comfort of their own home. So if we can gain the advantages of face-to-face meetings and not lose the advantages of Zoom, maybe there is some benefit to this grim 15 months we have all suffered through. So a few announcements to make at the outset. The first is to report, as no doubt you have read in the press, our COVID numbers in Westchester and certainly in the village of Pleasantville are looking way better than they have looked throughout this whole process. As of today, for the first time in a very long time, there were 0 positives in the village of Pleasantville. I caution you that there are definitely new cases appearing in and around the various places in Westchester every day. And so folks ought not to make the assumption that there isn't any risk. As we have said before, the way to avoid that risk is to get vaccinated. The state vaccination website has not been updated for a while, so we don't have the current numbers of percentage of people in this zip code, which is the way they keep track of it, who have been vaccinated. But there isn't any doubt, I think, that we have not yet reached the 70% point. And so I really encourage anybody who has not been vaccinated to go and get a vaccine. I can report that Northwell Health, which operates Phelps Hospital in Sleepy Hollow and Northern Westchester in Mount Kisco, those two hospitals have a joint venture standing up a vaccine site at the vacant Pier 1 site that's in Bedford Hills, up there just north of Staples. You can walk in. They have the capacity to deliver 1,000 vaccines a day. The average has been more like 300. There are many, 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 many doses of vaccines just waiting for somebody to come and get them. So please, if you haven't gotten vaccinated, get vaccinated. I know we're in a circumstance where some folks have been resistant to doing it. It couldn't be clearer that the vaccine is the answer. And recognize also that when you get vaccinated, you reduce the risk of transmitting it to someone else. There are folks in our community, as well as in every community, who have various health conditions or immunocompromised conditions that mean they can't be vaccinated. And the best way to protect those is for us to do our part. So many hands make light work. Stick out your arm and get a vaccine, please, as soon as you possibly can. Wanted to thank the folks at Phelps and the Ossining Volunteer Ambulance Corps. As you know, perhaps if you haven't seen, they stood up a vaccine pop-up at the Pleasantville Farm Market, and they'll be back there again to deliver second doses. Whether they'll be back to deliver first doses, I'm not certain, but a big thank you to Phelps and to the Ossining Volunteer Ambulance Corps, which did a great job, and a big thank you to the farm market. It was a great place for folks to easily get a vaccine, and it was a great place for young folks relatively recently eligible in the 12 to 18 timeframe to get vaccinated right here in their hometown by quality people. So Good news that our pool has opened. It's been a great start to the year. The weather participated in our opening. Didn't participate very well the first weekend, Memorial Day weekend, but it was a great and warm weekend last weekend, not so much this weekend. We've really had a great response and are really, really appreciative of all the folks that have joined the pool. If you haven't joined the pool yet, please think about doing so. You can do so online. Go to our website, pleasantville-ny.gov, and click through the rec department. You can sign up. It's looking like a good year. I add to that the more support we get for the pool, the better off we are. We're in the midst of a task force process and now a consultant process to reimagine what a new pool would look like, because it's pretty clear we need a new pool if we intend to have one for the next 50 years. So that's not an inexpensive venture, but I think it's one that we can make happen. But it's easier to make it happen if we have a whole lot of people joining and showing their support. Now would be a great time. Please think about doing that. We had a meeting last week of the pedestrian committee, a bunch of new ideas, as well as a repetition of some old saws about how to improve pedestrian safety. Thank you to Carrie Roberts, who's the chair of that venture, and to the other three folks who are the core people. The Zoom recording of that is also available at Pleasantville at pctv76.org, and you'll be hearing more about those projects soon. We sent out an email reporting some modifications we propose to make at the south end of Memorial Plaza to improve the ease of parking and the availability of parking, especially at the south end. That's the end by Bedford Road. I went through a fairly extended explanation of that in the work session just before. So if that's a matter of interest, or if you think perhaps you have an opinion or maybe got it wrong, I encourage you to go within a few days to pctv76.org, look up our work session, and hear the description of it. Just to be clear, that project is unrelated to the proposed future civic space, unrelated to the Manville Road pedestrian project. It is simply about improving the ease of parking, improving traffic flow, and improving the pedestrian conditions between the gazebo and Bedford Road. So please take a look at that if you care on that subject. Work continues on the Sawmill Parkway. It's going to go on for what, another year and a half, Eric? Is that right? I know that's tough. Obviously, it's tough for drivers who get caught up in the one-lane traffic mess. I know it's been tough, and we've heard from folks over on Pleasant Avenue about people making illegal turns at Grant Street into their neighborhood. We're talking to the county police about that, as well as DOT. But the short version of a long story is that DOT is undertaking this big project in order to eliminate the flooding problem that has affected that area for a long time. But it's going to be another tough 18 months. So encourage folks to stay in touch with all of that. If you want to know more, you can go to lowerwestchesterbridges.com, which is a Department of Transportation site that describes what is being done. We had discussion in work session about both marijuana issues and intended to get to the discussion of the American Rescue Plan Act, which is the money we'll be getting for COVID relief. We talked long enough about marijuana that we're going to have to return to the ARPA question in work session after a regular session. But short version of a long story is that the village confronts a decision about whether to opt out of having a marijuana dispensary here in our community. And likely we need to do that before December 31. More on that later, and we'll be reaching out to the community on various fronts. Big thank you to the Fancher Nickel American Legion Post, Tony Vulo, Commander, who assisted us on Memorial Day, and a shout out to all of my colleagues on the board, as well as to Shane McCaffrey of PCTV, who assisted with returning our Memorial Day ceremony to the out of doors. Last year, it was an indoor ceremony, so I think a very nice occasion and a nice event to remember those who've been lost from Pleasantville. And a shout out to the 4 Pleasantville High School vocalists and musicians who took time out on that holiday Monday to sing or to play their instruments. Much appreciated. 2 last things, and then I'll stop talking. There was a really nice tribute to the Juros family who were the founders, led by Devin Juros, now a college student at Brown, and his parents, Dave and Margot, establishing the community garden that was established in the side yard on Sunnyside Avenue at St. John's Church. They're stepping down from the active role. Devin was back from college, and the new leaders of the community garden board convened to honor them and put up a small plaque. That whole project, and the Juroses in particular, make crystal clear what happens when good people have a good idea and propose it in Pleasantville, New York. So a whole bunch of people were attracted to that venture. Steve Lord, our former trustee, spoke. His son is a contemporary of Devin Juros's, and Steve reminded everyone of the day when his high school age son came down and sat at the breakfast table and said, "Dad, I think I'm going to garden." And so the rest is history. So you have a whole bunch of high school students and people of every other age farming here in Pleasantville, New York, in a beautiful setting, beautifully completed, and they have now provided, I think, 100,000 pounds of food to a food pantry. So great story. Congratulations to Devin, Margot, Dave, Juros. Then lastly, this coming Saturday is June 19th. That is Juneteenth, effective last year, now a state holiday. A shout out to a community organization, the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Group, who put together a Juneteenth banner, which Jeff Econom's guys have put up in a proud place across Manville Road in front of the Burns. And so I encourage everybody to get into the story of Juneteenth, which is something that lots of us didn't learn about when we were in school, but actually is the true ending of legal slavery in the 19th century. So if you're interested in that subject, I encourage you to go to artswestchester.org/Juneteenth 2021. Arts Westchester has put together a really nice assemblage of events and information about Juneteenth. So I encourage you to take a look. So, anybody else have something to say, a comment, an announcement, or whatever? Okay, on to the public hearing. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing on introductory local law 3 of 2021, amending chapter 98 of the Code of Village of Pleasantville concerning the fire prevention and building construction code?
I so move.
Second.
Second.
Again.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Welcome to the public hearing. Eric, you want to report the goings on?
Sure. So this local law proposes to amend Chapter 98 of the Village Code. It essentially adds one sentence, which I'll read. The fee for renewed building permit may be waived by the building inspector where the applicant is a municipal entity and the project involves or includes a demonstrated public purpose or benefit, such as development of affordable housing, environmental protection measures, or traffic abatement. And that is the amendment to the Village Code that is proposed. Again, would waive a renewed building permit fee if the applicant is a municipality or a government entity and the project has a public purpose or benefit.
All right, pretty straightforward. Comments from the board? Comments from the public? There being none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. The public hearing on this weighty matter is closed. So on to the resolutions. Paul, this is appropriate, Paul, PHS graduate. Number 151. Let me share my screen. Almost there. Okay, got it?
Got it. Okay. Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes Pleasantville High School graduation to be held at Parkway Field on the evening of June 25th, 2021. And be it further resolved that the Chief of Police is authorized to temporarily close Hopper Street to non-resident traffic prior to the ceremony.
Is there a second?
Second.
So the high school has, as you know, under normal circumstances, has its graduation in a proud tradition in the circle in front of the high school, but has decided that as we emerge from COVID, Parkway Field provides a better opportunity for folks to attend. And certainly it's our pleasure to cooperate with that. Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Shane, were you wanting to say something?
Mr. Mayor, yeah, I just wanted to thank you. I wanted to thank the village very much for your support and your help in this endeavor.
You are welcome, certainly. It's the kind of request
May I
that
also thank the village for, and the police department for the parade for the seniors last week. That was also really nice, and we appreciate you accommodating that to happen as well, in addition to graduation. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you to the police chief and his people who worked on that. So those are requests that, of course, we would say yes to, and certainly mindful of what a difficult year it's been for everyone, and in particular the losses associated with one senior year happening in such a difficult way. So going to be happy at least to have more people together in an outdoor environment for graduation on the 25th. Resolution 152, Nicole.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the promotion and salary increase for motor equipment operator Robert Bustani to CSEA Group Step Motor Equipment Operator MEO Specialist, Job Code 427S, CSEA Wage Schedule A, Step 6, Salary $82,620, effective June 14th, 2021. Said promotion is subject to a probationary period of a minimum of 12 weeks and can be extended to a maximum not to exceed 52 weeks.
Is there a second?
Second.
Robert Bustani is a very long-term village employee, and we had a retirement that created an opening in this specialist job code, and Jeff has very strongly recommended him for this promotion, and I do the same. Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. David, 153.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby approves the hiring of Danielle O'Reilly as a part-time employee to the Job Paddle Bus Driver, Job Code 0204 at the hourly rate of $19, effective date June 17th, 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. 154, Michael.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby approves the minutes of the regular meeting held on May 24th, 2021. Attached.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments, questions, or corrections to the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Back to you. Paul, oh God, here we go.
Whereas a large HVAC condenser that provides heating and cooling to the village police department broke down and must be replaced immediately. And whereas the broken HVAC condenser is currently impacting village police department operations and is putting the village's service at risk. And whereas the HVAC condenser is located on top of an old and abandoned oil tank that was once used by the village. And whereas in order to replace the broken HVAC condenser unit, the village must also remove the oil tank and perform any necessary remediation. And whereas in the case of public emergency arising out of an accident or other unforeseen occurrence or condition whereby circumstances affecting public buildings, public property, or the life, health, safety, or property of the inhabitants of a political subdivision or district therein require immediate action which cannot await competitive bidding or competitive offering, contracts for the public work or the purchase of supplies, material or equipment may be let by the appropriate officer of the political subdivision pursuant to the provisions of General Municipal Law, Section 103, parentheses 4. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby establishes that there is an urgent need to abate the health and safety hazard arising from the broken HVAC condenser unit to justify the village's bypass of statutory competitive bidding procedures for public works contracts and the village's hiring of private contractors to remove the oil tank, perform any necessary remediation, and replace the broken HVAC condenser. And be it further resolved that the Village Board Trustees hereby authorizes the mayor or the village administrator to enter the Village of Pleasantville into contract with Innovative Environmental Services for the services rendered in connection with the removal of an underground oil tank and Dakin applied in connection with the replacement and maintenance HVAC equipment servicing Village Hall. Be it further resolved that the Village Board of Trustees authorizes the use of the general fund balance for the HVAC project and oil tank removal.
Is there a second?
Second.
So the first thing to be said is that this whole thing has put us at risk of Eric Morrissey leaving us to become an HVAC consultant
Oh, boy.
because he has spent much of his life in this grim circumstance. Can I ask a question, Eric? And maybe it doesn't matter in the third whereas, the old abandoned oil tank that was once used by the village. I had the impression, and I may be wrong, that it was actually not used by the village, but by the previous owner of the building.
It actually looks to have been used by the village.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just want to be clear on that.
I'm gonna see if I can share my screen real quick here, just to give everybody an idea of what we're. Oh, you know what? I think Nicole has it, but there are. If you come around the corner off of Bedford Road.
Here, I can stop. I'm sharing. That's your problem. So I'll stop my share, and you can
Okay.
share.
All right. So, can everybody see this?
Mhm.
Yes.
All right. So we have these condenser units scattered around the back of the building. So here is the pathway off of Bedford Road, and you come around the back, and we've got two large Dakin condenser units on a concrete slab, and then a third carrier unit that services. This one services the police department. The other services the third floor in the attic. And under it is a 3,000-gallon oil tank that we've come upon, understanding that's in the ground and that's been abandoned with concrete inside. The way to do it the right way and to get permitting and write-off from the Department of Health is to remove the tank. Well, you could test the soil around the tank, but to do so, you need to bring in this big machine to actually drill the appropriate number of holes. So at the end of the day, it's best that we just remove, and we need to replace this condenser unit. So all in, we're probably looking to replace these two units, one that's dead and one that's on the fritz, and remove the oil tank and potentially remediate any contamination under it. We're probably looking at about $170,000 project all in. So we'll have more specifics in future meetings, but certainly something we wanted to get on the board's radar. The other thing to say is we're limping by right now in the PD with self-contained AC units, but we need to fix this as soon as we can.
And add to that, it's in extremely inaccessible location. The train tracks, as you know, are right behind the building, and it's a tough spot in which to be working. So at any rate, the thrust of this resolution is in part to make clear that we're doing this on an emergency basis and therefore have a basis for the procurement. Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion
Aye.
approved. Nicole, 156.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following budget amendments for the fiscal year ending in 2021 as listed below. Budget transfers in the general fund, $2,673 from admin outside services to admin full-time, $310 from parking contractual services to police uniforms, $1,140 from parking contractual services to police gas for vehicles, $519 from sewer outside service to sewer overtime, $15,312 from contingent to police overtime, $620 from contingent transfer to capital Manville Road. It's a total of $20,574. Budget transfers in the water fund, $1,326 from water distribution outside service to water distribution overtime. In the increase revenue and expense capital fund, $620 interfund transfer from general fund to Manville Road improvements village funds.
Is there a second?
Second.
So this is a good opportunity to point out what I mentioned the last time, and that is that our longtime treasurer, Mary Schwartz, retired, and she departed last week. We wish her well in her retirement and hope to see her as a regular visitor. Noreen Regan, who you're used to seeing in this little Zoom grid of faces, is now the treasurer, and so she's putting together these kinds of budget amendments. And new to us, although not literally new, is Alyssa Hochstein, who you see here, who has arrived and will be filling the role once fulfilled by Noreen. She's doing a great job. We welcome her. Thank you, Alyssa. Any questions about this? Recognize that these are cleanup amendments for the fiscal year that ended at the end of May 2021. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. David, you get the easy one for 2022.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby approves the following budget amendments for fiscal year ending 2022 as listed below. $1,355 from A1990.400 contingent to A7330.488 Panther Club software.
Is there a second?
Second.
Those of you who depend upon Panther Club for after school activities for your kids can take this as a sign of hope that Panther Club will be back. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. 158. Michael.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the abstract for payment of claims dated June 14th, 2021 for fiscal year 2021, covering check numbers 100404 to 100409. From the general fund, $53,851.24. From the water fund, $106,440.47. From the capital fund, $2,869. From the refuse fund, $2,462.18 for a grand total of $165,622.89.
Is there a second?
Second.
And these are expenses that accrue to the fiscal year that ended the end of May 2021. Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. Paul, 159.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the abstract for payment of claims dated June 14, 2021 for the fiscal year of 2022, covering check numbers 100492 through 100610. General Fund, $417,403.67. Special Purpose, $8,812.50. Water Fund, $42,016.94. Capital Fund, $1,925. Refuse Fund, $22,240.68, for a total of $492,578.79.
Is there a second?
Second.
Comments, questions? These being expenses that have accrued for the new fiscal year. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. 160, Nicole, which I think you need to,
Yeah.
you don't need to read all the detail, but read the substantive parts and reference.
Okay. Whereas the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville, Westchester County, New York, the Village, on July 22nd, 2019, adopted a bond resolution entitled Bond Resolution of the Village of Pleasantville, Westchester County, New York, authorizing the insurance, crazy dog, sorry, of 2,600,000 serial bonds to finance the Manville Road Corridor Improvement Project, the original resolution. And whereas the Board of Trustees wishes, 1, to authorize the expenditure and appropriation of additional funds for the Manville Road Corridor Improvement Project authorized in the original resolution, and 2, the issuance of additional serial bonds of the village to finance such additional appropriations. Now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Trustees as follows. Section 1, the village is hereby authorized to undertake the reconstruction and improvement of Manville Road, including sidewalks, curbs, gutters, drainage, landscaping, and grading or improving the rights of way with flexible pavement of a type described in the local finance law section 11A20C, including surveys, preliminary plans, and detailed plans, specifications, and estimates required in connection therewith at an estimated maximum cost not to exceed $4 million, constituting an increase of $1,400,000 over the maximum estimated cost authorized in the original resolution. Section 2, the plan for financing such new maximum authorized cost of $4 million for the foregoing object or purpose shall be as follows. A, by the issuance of $2,600,000 of serial bonds of the village or bond anticipation notes heretofore authorized to be issued pursuant to the original resolution. And B, by the issuance of an additional $1,400,000 serial bonds, the bonds of the village or bond anticipation notes authorized to be issued pursuant to this resolution, provided, however, that to the extent that any federal or state grants in aid are received for such object or purpose, the amount of bonds to be issued pursuant to this resolution shall be reduced dollar for dollar. Section 3, it is hereby determined that the period of probable usefulness of the aforesaid specific object or purpose is 15 years pursuant to subdivision 20C of paragraph A of section 11 of the local finance law.
I think from there you can say as further stated in the record.
As further stated in the record. Yeah?
Seems okay. Is there a second?
Sorry, can you repeat that? Just kidding. Second.
All right. So as is described here, as we have commented in the past, we have a New York State grant of $1.6 million that would apply to the Manville Road Pedestrian Improvement Program. That is a reimbursement grant. And it is not clear at the moment what the cost of the project will be. We're required in order to sustain the grant to go out to bid this year. We'll find out what the numbers turn out to be and then confront the question of whether to proceed. Have I accurately described this, Mr. Morrissey? You want to add something to that?
Yep, and this is subject to permissive referendum, so it'll be publicly noticed and before it can become official.
So in essence, this gives us the authority to issue these bonds, although they may never be issued or they may be issued at a lower amount. So for a matter of this kind, let's have a roll call vote. Paul?
I'd say yeah.
Nicole?
Aye.
David?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Peter votes aye. Resolution 160 passes unanimously. 161, David.
Resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the village administrator to sign the agreement for facility management consulting services for all Village of Pleasantville owned properties for the period June 15th to 2021 to June 14th, 2022 with William C. Link LLC attached.
Is there a second?
Second.
Eric, you want to describe this?
Sure. So Mr. Link is the former director of facilities for Pace University, both in New York City and Pleasantville. He's currently the facilities consultant for the Chappaqua Library and the Mount Pleasant Library. We're in desperate need of assistance managing our aging facilities and capital plant. His first project will be coordinating this oil tank removal and HVAC replacement project. So we'll get him busy right away. We're also looking at replacing the elevator in Village Hall within the next couple of years. as well as some other physical plant updates that will be coming down the pike. So we will certainly be keeping Mr. Link busy, and for a reasonable rate of $75 an hour, we can't go wrong, in my opinion.
I would agree. Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. 162, Michael.
Whereas the Village of Pleasantville Board of Trustees desires to amend Chapter 98 of the Village Code to allow the building inspector to waive fees associated with the renewal of an expired building permit if and when the applicant for such permit is a municipal entity. And whereas the proposed action is a Type 2 action pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and no further environmental review is required. And whereas the Board of Trustees held and closed a public hearing on Monday, June 14th, 2021, now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby adopts introductory local law 3 of 2021 to amend Chapter 98 of the Village Code, which is to become local law 4 of 2021 upon its passage.
Is there a second?
Second.
So this would enact the item we began the evening with a public hearing. Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. Back to you, Paul.
These long ones today.
Yeah.
Whereas the Village of Pleasantville Board of Trustees is at 85 of the Village Code to implement the sliding scale regulation of floor area ratio, FAR, controls based on lot size within the village's single-family zoning districts, RRR, RRR, and R1, excluding lots of less than 7,500 square feet to limit overall the bulk of new homes in additions to existing homes, particularly on large lots. And whereas the local law also includes revisions to the existing definition of FAR and other zoning definitions related to height, as well as a minor administrative revision to the Schedule 8 of the zoning code, which is a table of parking and loading requirements. And whereas the proposed action is a Type 1 action pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, and the Board of Trustees has reviewed parts 1 and 2 of the full environmental assessment form. And whereas the local law was referred to the Westchester County Planning Board, and a response was received dated April 23rd, 2021. And whereas the local law was referred to the Village of Pleasantville's Planning Commission, the Commission, and was discussed to the Commission's satisfaction as its meeting on April 28th, 2021, with no formal response submitted by the Commission. And whereas the Board of Trustees held a duly noted public hearing on the proposed local law on May 24th, 2021, at which time all those interested had an opportunity to be heard. And the public hearing was closed on May 24th, 2021. And whereas due to public health and safety concerns related to the current COVID-19 pandemic, the public hearing was held via video conference in accordance with the requirements of the governor's executive orders, which suspend the in-person requirements of the New York State Open Meetings Law and provide alternative means by which to conduct public hearings. And whereas the Board of Trustees reviewed the full EAF Parts 2 and 3 at their meeting on June 14th, 2021, and whereas the Board of Trustees is fully familiar with the proposed local law. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of the form and all other materials prepared hereby adopts the attached post local law, finding that the adoption of the local law will not result in any significant adverse, and be it further resolved that the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville Local Law 4 of 2021 to amend Chapter 180.
Is anybody else not hearing Paul?
I'm not. He's frozen.
Frozen.
We lost him briefly.
You want me to finish it?
I don't know what the deal is with that. I think we should probably wait for him to come back to complete it. What do you think, Eric?
Eric, you're muted.
I think a trustee can finish the resolution and then vote on it accordingly.
Okay, David, you want to read the last be it further?
Be it further resolved, the Board of Trustees of the Village of Pleasantville hereby adopts introductory local law 4 of 2021 to amend Chapter 185 of the Village Code concerning residential floor area ratios and other zoning provisions, which is to become local law 5 of 2021 upon its passage.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Comments or questions? This matter has been extensively discussed. We've had a bunch of public meetings about it, as well as the public hearing that's referred to in the resolution. Welcome back, Paul. We lost you briefly.
Mr. Mayor, can I just ask a question of a point of clarification?
Yes.
Shane McGaffey, 75 Broadway, apartment 2K. The only question I have is, at the last number, you're talking about half acres, right? Now, does the FAR continue when you go to an acre or 2 acres or an acre and a half? Or
The FAR
is it
still
half?
applies, right? But you end up with, I mean, there are a bunch of of intersecting issues that affect the total bulk of a house. The FAR alone would provide a greater square footage on a bigger lot. You are, however, affected by other factors, including height.
Okay, so in the presentation that was given, the last slide, the bottom number was a half acre. So
Yes.
if someone had an acre lot or a 2 acre lot, they could build a bigger house.
Yes, and that
Okay.
FAR, the last FAR is the one that would apply.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any further comments or questions?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, Tom?
Does this new resolution, what we're reading here, the adoption here, is this to prevent the buildings like's going on Ashland Avenue, where the house and the I believe the swimming pool yet to be built, there'll pretty much be no yard anywhere in the house to speak of? I mean,
Well,
it's just so huge on a piece of property.
so that house, were it to be proposed under this code, would not be as big.
And is that one of the reasons why this code is being,
That is one of the reasons this issue came to the fore. Yes.
okay, because I mean, in the past, I mean, people can't put up a shed on their property because they don't have a big enough footprint. And then you see property like the Ashland property where there wouldn't be a spot left for anything. So,
Well, that's not actually the case. Those are deep properties on Ashland.
yeah,
But this adds a floor area ratio, which relates the size of the lot to the total occupied square footage of the house.
Yeah.
In addition to the setback requirements and the height requirements. So
okay. Thanks.
Peter, point of clarification on this FAR. The table that I saw only goes up to a half acre lot size.
Shane
And
just
the
asked,
FAR is 0.25.
right, that's the FAR that would apply to lots bigger as well.
So it's lot size times 0.25.
Correct.
Okay, fine.
Also affected by a bunch of other constraints that are already in the zoning code.
Correct. Okay.
All right, any other comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
Motion passes unanimously. 164, Nicole.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the village administrator to sign the agreement for planning advisory services for the period June 1st, 2021 to May 31st, 2022 with Frederick P. Clark Associates, Hardesty in Hanover.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
So this continues the role of Sarah Brown with the longstanding firm we have used to support our planning commission, Frederick P. Clark. It is now part of Hardesty and Hanover. No change in the hourly rate per the attached contract. Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
I
Aye.
approve. David, 165.
Whereas the Village of Pleasantville Board of Trustees desires to amend Chapter 14, Section 5 and create Chapter 14, Section 9 of the Village Code to eliminate the requirement that a village elected or appointed official or employee be a member of the Board of Ethics of the Village of Pleasantville in order to establish a Board of Ethics as a truly independent body, and whereas introductory local law 5 of 2021 was introduced on June 14, 21, and whereas the proposed action is a type 2 action pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, and no further environmental review is required, and whereas the Board of Trustees is fully familiar with proposed local law, now therefore be resolved that the Board of Trustees in the Village of Pleasantville shall hold a public hearing on Monday, June 28, 2021 at 8 p.m. via video conference in accordance with the governor's executive orders, which will include opportunities for interested members of the public to provide written and oral comments on the proposed local law, which is attached.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
So this establishes the required public hearing, was pointed out by a couple of members of our ethics committee, that our longstanding practice was actually inconsistent with the existing requirement that a village elected or appointed official be a member of the board. It's our view that we should change that, propose to do so, and have a public hearing scheduled per this resolution. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion approved. Michael?
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby approves the reduction of the 2022 tax bill number 1513 in the amount of $54.90, and the 2022 tax bill number 1615 in the amount of $96.51 due to sufficient evidence for removal of a delinquent water charge.
Is there a second?
Second.
This property owner presented, as noted, significant evidence to remove the charge. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion approved. 167, Paul.
Whereas Toll New York VLP, the owner, developer of property located at 485-501 Washington Avenue, Pleasantville, New York, shown on the town of Mount Pleasant tax map of section 99.14, block 1, lot 79, submitted to the village a declaration of restrictive covenants, DRC, in connection with the land use approvals from the village planning board by resolution dated December 10th, 2014 for a 68-unit townhouse community organized as a homeowner association in a fee simple form of ownership. And whereas the approved project includes a requirement that 7 of the 68 units must be de-districted as affordable housing pursuant to a settlement agreement, requires the county, among other things, to develop more affordable housing that affirmatively further fair housing, AFFH, as set forth in 42 USC section 5304 B2, and as required pursuant to the settlement agreement. And whereas the DRC includes certain enforcement rights to be extended to the Village of Pleasantville. Now, therefore, be resolved that the Village of Pleasantville Board of Trustees hereby authorizes the mayor or village administrator to execute all documents as may be necessary for the purposes of recording this DRC, subject to revisions deemed acceptable to the village attorney and subject to review of Schedules A and B by village attorney, village building inspector, and/or village engineer.
Is there a second?
Second.
Long, complicated text that simply establishes the restrictive covenants for the 7 affordable townhouses out of the 68 at the Toll Brothers project. Comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion approved. And last but not least, 168, Nicole.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees hereby accepts the resignation of Justin Carlson, community service worker, effective June 20th, 2021.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Justin has been a partner enforcement officer. We thank him for his service and wish him well. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion approved. That's the last of our regular items. Any members of the board have new business?
Now, I just wanted to, sorry, I meant to say this in the announcements before, but this weekend, the Break the Hold Foundation ran the Into the Light walk, which for the first time I took part in, which was wonderful. Several hundred Pleasantville residents and visitors took part in that, and I want to thank both the Halloran family for doing this and for working very hard on behalf of mental health awareness for the village, but then also the police department for keeping everybody safe.
Thank you for that. Any comments from the public before we sign off? All right. Appreciate everyone's attention. Our next regular meeting is 2 weeks from today on Monday, June 28. Is there a motion to depart regular session and go into executive session on the matter of a contract?
We're going to go into work session first, right?
Yeah, I think we can come back to work session afterwards. We got a bunch of people waiting for us in this executive session. I think we should do that next.
Okay.
So,
moved.
a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Good night, board members and those participating in the executive session. There's a new Zoom link for that. So you leave this meeting and open the new one.
Oh, the executive session is by Zoom this time?
It is.
Okay.
Thanks.